The sleek metallic walls of the Interplanetary Medical Center on Proxima Centauri b reflected the harsh artificial light, creating an almost sterile atmosphere. The facility stood as a testament to the technological prowess of the Centaurian species, a civilization that had mastered interstellar travel centuries before Earth had even sent its first human to its own moon. Within these walls, the most brilliant minds in the galaxy worked tirelessly, utilizing equipment so advanced it would appear magical to most humans. Yet today, an unusual silence permeated the corridors. The most skilled alien doctors in the galaxy stood in defeated postures around a medical pod where their most important patient lay dying. Thrin, the Supreme Counselor of the Centaurian Alliance, had contracted a mysterious disease that was slowly eating away at his body. His once vibrant blue skin had turned a sickly gray, and the luminescent patterns that normally pulsed with life across his exoskeleton had dimmed to almost nothing. "We have tried everything," Dr. Selka said, her four arms gesturing in frustration. The tall, slender alien's elongated eyes narrowed as she studied the data flowing across the holographic displays. Every treatment protocol, every regenerative therapy, every nanomedicine we possess has failed. Dr. Zane, the head physician, nodded solemnly. His crystalline cranial structures reflected the light as he moved. "The infection defies all our understanding. It adapts to our treatments faster than we can develop them. At this rate," he trailed off, unwilling to verbalize what they all knew. Thrin would be dead within days, and with him, perhaps the fragile piece that had united dozens of worlds under the Centaurian Alliance. The door to the medical chamber slid open with a soft hiss, interrupting the somber silence. Every head turned toward the newcomer, a human woman of average height with dark skin, curly black hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, and eyes that reflected both determination and uncertainty. She wore the standard blue uniform of the Earth Medical Corps, a stark contrast to the metallic shimmer of Centaurian medical attire. "This is the human expert?" Dr. Selka whispered to Zane, making no effort to hide her skepticism. "Yes," Zane replied, his voice carefully neutral. "Samantha Clark. She arrived on the last transport from Earth." Samantha, Sam to her friends, took a deep breath as she approached the group of alien physicians. She had been warned about the reception she would likely receive. Despite Earth joining the Galactic Federation 30 years ago, humans were still viewed as primitive by many of the more advanced species. Their medical techniques, in particular, were often dismissed as crude and ineffective compared to the wonders of alien biotechnology. "Thank you for allowing me to join you," Sam said, her voice steady despite the weight of the stares directed her way. "I've reviewed the case files that were transmitted to Earth. I understand the situation is critical." Dr. Zane stepped forward. "Yes, Dr. Clark. Supreme Counselor Thrin contracted this disease during a diplomatic mission to Epsilon Eridani. It appears to be some form of adaptive pathogen that integrates with the host's genetic material. We have exhausted all standard treatments." Sam nodded, her eyes already focused on the readings displayed around Thrin's medical pod. "May I?" she asked, gesturing toward the patient. After a moment's hesitation, Jane nodded, and the circle of alien physicians reluctantly parted to allow her access. Sam approached the pod, studying the alien leader. Despite the fundamental differences between human and Centaurian physiology, the signs of suffering were universal. Thrin's breathing was labored, his skin dull and flaking in places. "Has anyone considered that this might be an interaction between the pathogen and something environmental?" Sam asked, her mind already racing through possibilities. "Something specific to this planet or this facility?" Dr. Selka made a sound that might have been the Centaurian equivalent of a scoff. "We've run full environmental analyses. There is nothing in our environment that could be exacerbating his condition. Sam bit back a retort. She hadn't traveled light years from Earth to engage in territorial disputes with alien doctors. I'd like to see the full genetic profile of the pathogen, as well as all treatment protocols that have been attempted. Of course, Jane said, tapping a sequence into the nearby console. A three-dimensional model of a complex molecular structure appeared in the air before Sam. This is the pathogen as it appeared when we first identified it. He tapped again and the structure changed. This is the pathogen after our first treatment attempt, and this, another tap, another transformation, is the pathogen now. Sam studied the evolving structure with growing concern. The pathogen wasn't just resistant to treatment. It was actively incorporating elements of the treatments into its own structure, becoming stronger with each attempt to destroy it. It's learning, she murmured. It's using your own medicine against you. Yes, Jane confirmed, which is why we have ceased all traditional treatments. We are now focused solely on supporting Thrin's vital functions while we search for an alternative approach. Sam turned to face the assembled alien doctors. I need to know everything about where Thrin has been, what he's eaten, who he's been in contact with, everything. And I need samples of the pathogen for my own analysis. You'll have access to all our data, Zane assured her, but I must caution you, Dr. Clark, our medical technology is centuries beyond Earth's. If we haven't found a solution. Sam met his gaze steadily. With all due respect, Dr. Zane, sometimes a fresh perspective is exactly what's needed, especially when every approach you've tried has failed. The room fell silent at her boldness. Sam could feel the tension, but she held her ground. Finally, Dr. Zane inclined his head slightly. Very well. You will have everything you need, but time is of the essence. Thrin's condition deteriorates by the hour. I understand, Sam said. I'll get to work immediately. As the alien physicians dispersed to gather the requested information, Sam turned back to the medical pod, studying Thrin's face. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on her shoulders. She had come to this distant world hoping to learn from these advanced beings, to bring back knowledge that could benefit Earth. Instead, she found herself thrust into a crisis that could determine the future of interstellar relations. I don't know if you can hear me, she said softly to the unconscious alien leader, but I promise you this, I won't give up until we find a way to heal you. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of activity. Sam established a makeshift laboratory adjacent to Thrin's medical chamber, working tirelessly to understand the nature of the pathogen. The alien physicians provided the data she requested, though many remained openly skeptical of her methods. She's analyzing cellular interactions using light microscopy, Dr. Selka remarked to Dr. Zane as they observed Sam from across the room. It's like watching someone try to perform surgery with stone tools. Yet she notices patterns we have missed, Zane replied thoughtfully. Her approach is unconventional, but not without merit. Indeed, Sam had already identified several characteristics of the pathogen that had escaped the Centaurians' notice, while their advanced technology allowed them to analyze the pathogen's genetic structure in exquisite detail. They had overlooked some of the more basic aspects of its behavior. It's not just adapting to the treatments, Sam explained during a briefing on the second day. It's specifically targeting Thrin's immune system, using elements of his own biology against him. And there's something else. She hesitated, uncertain how her next observation would be received. Speak freely, Dr. Clark, Zane encouraged. The pathogen seems to be photosynthetic in nature. It becomes more active when exposed to certain wavelengths of light, specifically the light used in your medical facilities. This revelation caused a stir among the alien physicians. Dr. Selka stepped forward, her elegant features contorted in disbelief. That's impossible. Our lighting systems are designed to inhibit microbial growth. For known microbes, yes, Sam countered, but this pathogen isn't like anything in your database. I believe it evolved on a world with very different environmental conditions than what's considered standard in the Alliance. She pulled up her own crude, by Centaurian standards, holographic display, showing time-lapse imagery of the pathogen's activity levels under different lighting conditions. See for yourselves, under standard medical lighting, the pathogen's metabolic rate increases by nearly 300%. If we modify the lighting in Thrin's chamber, we might be able to slow the progression of the disease. Dr. Zane studied the data with growing interest. An intriguing hypothesis. We will implement this change immediately. The lighting in Thrin's chamber was adjusted according to Sam's specifications, and within hours, his condition stabilized. It wasn't a cure, but it bought them precious time. Encouraged by this small victory, Sam redoubled her efforts. She spent hours poring over the data from Thrin's diplomatic mission to Epsilon Eridani, searching for clues about where and how he might have contracted the disease. On the third day, she made another breakthrough. Thrin visited a botanical preserve on Epsilon Eridani, correct? She asked Dr. Zane as they reviewed the mission logs together. Yes, a ceremonial visit. The Eridanians are very proud of their preserved ecosystems. And according to this, he participated in a ritual that involved handling native plants. Jane nodded, a symbolic gesture of respect for the Eridanian culture. The plants are considered sacred by the indigenous population. Sam's pulse quickened. Were samples of these plants brought back for analysis? No, Zane replied. There was no reason to. Thrin didn't show any symptoms until several days after returning from the mission. I think we need to get samples of those plants, Sam said firmly. The timing of the infection correlates too perfectly with that visit to be coincidental. Dr. Selka, who had been listening nearby, joined the conversation. You want to delay treatment to collect plants from another star system? That could take days, even with our fastest ships. Not necessarily, Sam countered. According to the mission logs, diplomatic gifts were exchanged. The Eridanians presented Thrin with preserved specimens of their sacred plants. Those specimens should still be here in the diplomatic archives. Jane's crystalline cranial structures pulsed with what Sam had learned to recognize as surprise. You may be right. I'll have those specimens retrieved immediately. Within hours, Sam was examining the preserved plant specimens from Epsilon Eridani. They were unlike anything she had seen before, delicate structures that seemed to shimmer with an inner light, preserved in a state of suspended animation. These aren't just plants, she murmured as she studied them under her microscope. They're complex symbiotic organisms. The Eridanians must have evolved alongside them for millennia. Further analysis revealed that one of the plants contained compounds remarkably similar to the pathogen infecting Thrin. But there was something else, another compound that seemed to inhibit the pathogen's growth under certain conditions. I think I understand what happened, Sam explained to the team of alien physicians gathered in her makeshift lab. The sacred plants of Epsilon Eridani exist in a delicate balance. They contain both harmful and beneficial compounds that, in their natural environment, neutralize each other. But when Thrin handled the plants during the ceremony, he was exposed only to the harmful component. Why would the Eridanians deliberately expose him to a pathogen? Dr. Selka demanded, her voice sharp with suspicion. I don't think it was deliberate, Sam replied. In the Eridanian ecosystem, these compounds exist in balance. They wouldn't have known that contact with just part of the plant could be harmful to Centaurian physiology. If your theory is correct, Dr. Jane said slowly, then the solution might be to expose Thrin to the beneficial compounds from the same plant. Sam nodded eagerly. Exactly. We need to extract the inhibitory compound and develop a treatment protocol. The team set to work immediately, using the Centaurians' advanced technology to isolate and replicate the compound Sam had identified. Within hours, they had produced enough for an initial treatment. But when they administered the compound to Thrin, the results were disappointing. His condition improved slightly, but then rapidly deteriorated again as the pathogen adapted to the new threat. "It's not enough," Sam said, frustration evident in her voice as she reviewed the data. "The synthetic compound doesn't have the same properties as the natural version. Something's missing." Dr. Selka's patience had clearly reached its limit. "This has been a waste of valuable time. We should return to proven methodologies while Thrin still has a chance of survival." "Your proven methodologies have failed," Sam shot back, her own frustration boiling over. "If we keep trying the same approaches, we'll get the same results." "Enough," Dr. Zane intervened. "This discord serves no one, least of all our patient. Dr. Clark, what do you propose?" Sam took a deep breath, forcing herself to think clearly. "The preserved specimens aren't giving us what we need. We need living samples of the Eridanian plants, their complete biology, not just isolated compounds." "Out of the question," Selka objected. "Even our fastest ships would take too long to reach Epsilon Eridani and return." "Then we need to find an alternative," Sam insisted. "Something with similar properties that we can access more quickly." A thought struck her then, a memory from her studies back on Earth. Wait, some of the compounds in the Eridanian plants share structural similarities with plants from Earth, plants that I brought with me as part of my personal research materials. Dr. Zane's interest was piqued. "You have Earth plants here?" "Not exactly plants," Sam clarified. "Seeds and small samples, part of a comparative xenobotany project I've been working on, but they're in stasis, preserved but alive." "And you believe these Earth specimens might help treat Thrin's condition?" Zane asked, skepticism evident in his voice. "It's a long shot," Sam admitted, "but right now, long shots are all we have." After some debate, Dr. Zane authorized Sam to access her research materials, which had been stored in the facility's xenobiology department since her arrival. Among her samples were seeds from various medicinal plants from Earth, carefully preserved for cross-species studies. Sam selected several promising candidates based on their biochemical profiles and used the medical center's advanced growth chambers to rapidly cultivate the plants. Within hours, she had living specimens of aloe vera, tea tree, eucalyptus, and several other plants known for their medicinal properties on Earth. Initial analysis showed that while none of the Earth plants contained compounds identical to those in the Eridanian specimens, several had similar enough structures that they might interact with the pathogen in beneficial ways. The tea tree and eucalyptus extracts show the most promise, Sam reported after running a series of simulations. They contain compounds that might disrupt the pathogen's ability to integrate with Thrin's cells. Simulations are one thing, Dr. Selka pointed out, but Thrin's condition won't allow for lengthy clinical trials. "I know," Sam acknowledged. "We'll need to move directly to treatment, but first, I want to try something." She took one of the small aloe vera plants she had grown and carefully cut open a leaf, exposing the gel inside. Using the medical center's analysis equipment, she studied the gel's interaction with samples of the pathogen taken from Thrin. "Look at this," she said, excitement building in her voice as she displayed the results. "The aloe vera gel doesn't kill the pathogen directly, but it prevents it from binding to Centaurian cell receptors. If we combine this with the compounds from the tea tree and eucalyptus, we might be able to create a treatment that both attacks the pathogen and protects Thrin's healthy cells." The alien physicians studied the data with varying degrees of skepticism, but the results were undeniable. The Earth plants, primitive as they might seem to these advanced beings, contained compounds that interacted with the pathogen in ways their synthetic medicines could not. It's worth trying. Dr. Zane decided, prepare the treatment. Using the medical center's equipment, Sam created a solution combining extracts from the earth plants. The resulting mixture was tested on isolated samples of infected tissue from Thrin, with promising results. The pathogen's activity is reduced by 60%, Sam reported, and there's no sign that it's adapting to the treatment. Why isn't it adapting? Dr. Selka asked, genuine curiosity replacing her usual skepticism. I think it's because these are natural compounds, not synthetic ones. Sam explained. The pathogen evolved to counter the natural defenses of the Eridanian ecosystem. Earth plants evolved in a completely different environment, with different chemical strategies for survival. The pathogen simply doesn't recognize these compounds as threats, so it doesn't trigger its adaptive response. Fascinating, Dr. Zane murmured. A primitive approach, yet effective precisely because of its primitiveness. Nature has had billions of years to develop these chemical defenses, Sam said. Sometimes the old ways work best. With Thrin's condition deteriorating rapidly, they had no time for further testing. The treatment was prepared, and Sam administered it intravenously, hoping it would reach the infected tissues before it was too late. For the first few hours, there was little change. Thrin remained unconscious, his vital signs weak but stable. Sam refused to leave his side, monitoring every fluctuation in his condition. You should rest, Dr. Zane told her as the facility's artificial night cycle began. We will alert you if there is any change. Sam shook her head. I'll stay. There's something else I want to try. After Zane and the other physicians had departed, Sam retrieved one of the aloe vera plants from her makeshift lab. She carefully cut open a fresh leaf, exposing the gel inside. Moving to Thrin's bedside, she gently pushed aside the medical sensors attached to his arm, revealing a section of his skin where the infection was most visible, a necrotic wound that refused to heal despite all the advanced treatments applied to it. This is probably going to get me thrown off this planet, Sam murmured to herself as she carefully applied the aloe vera gel directly to the wound. But sometimes direct application works better than any high-tech delivery system. She watched anxiously for any adverse reaction, but there was none. The gel seemed to be absorbed into Thrin's skin, satisfied that she hadn't made things worse. Sam pulled up a chair beside the medical pod and settled in for a long night of observation. She must have dozed off at some point because she was startled awake by a sudden change in the rhythm of the monitoring equipment. Fearing the worst, she jumped to her feet, checking Thrin's vital signs. What she saw made her heart race. The wound she had treated with aloe vera gel was changing. The necrotic tissue at the edges was receding, and new, healthy tissue was forming. That's impossible, she whispered, but the evidence was right before her eyes. The direct application of the earth plant was having an effect that the sophisticated treatments had failed to achieve. Sam quickly documented the changes, capturing images of the healing process. Then she applied more of the aloe vera gel to the wound, this time combining it with a small amount of tea tree extract. By morning, the wound had shrunk significantly, and the infection markers in Thrin's bloodstream had decreased by 30%. Sam was reviewing the overnight data when Dr. Zane and Dr. Selka entered the chamber. Dr. Clark, Zane began, the monitoring systems indicated some unusual activity during the night. Did you observe? He stopped abruptly as he caught sight of the wound on Thrin's arm. What happened here? Sam took a deep breath. I applied a direct treatment to the wound, aloe vera gel from one of the earth plants. You did what? Dr. Selka's voice rose in alarm. Without authorization, without proper testing. I tested it on samples, Sam defended herself, and the results speak for themselves. Look at the wound. It's healing. Dr. Zane leaned in to examine the affected area, his expression a mixture of disbelief and scientific curiosity. The necrotic tissue is indeed receding, and these readings, he gestured to the monitoring equipment, the infection markers have decreased significantly. This is reckless, Dr. Selka insisted, applying an alien biological substance directly to the Supreme Counselor's wound if his condition worsens. But it hasn't worsened, Sam interrupted. It's improved. For the first time since I arrived, we're seeing actual healing, not just stabilization. Dr. Zane straightened, his gaze moving from Thrin to Sam. Explain your reasoning, Dr. Clark. Why did you believe direct application would be more effective than the systemic treatment we administered? Sam chose her words carefully, aware that her actions could be seen as a breach of protocol. The systemic treatment is still important. It's fighting the infection throughout Thrin's body. But I noticed that the wound itself wasn't responding as well as the rest of his tissues. I hypothesized that direct application might create a higher concentration of the active compounds exactly where they're needed most. A crude but logical approach, Zane acknowledged after a moment, and one we might not have considered, given our reliance on more sophisticated methods. Dr. Selka still looked unconvinced, but even she couldn't deny the evidence before them. We should monitor this development closely. If there's any sign of adverse reaction. Of course, Sam agreed readily. But in the meantime, I'd like to prepare more of the treatment for direct application to the other affected areas. Dr. Zane nodded his approval. Proceed, Dr. Clark. It seems your earth medicine may have merits we failed to appreciate. Over the next 24 hours, Sam worked with the alien medical team to apply the earth plant treatment to all of Thrin's visible wounds. The results were consistent across all sites, gradual but unmistakable healing. More significantly, Thrin's overall condition began to improve. His vital signs strengthened, and the infection markers in his bloodstream continued to decrease. The pathogen is retreating, Dr. Zane confirmed as they reviewed the latest data. It's not just being suppressed, it's actually being eliminated from his system. How is this possible? Dr. Selka wondered aloud. These plants contain no compounds that should be capable of such effective antimicrobial action, at least not against a pathogen this sophisticated. I think it's because they're not sophisticated, Sam suggested. The pathogen evolved to counter complex, targeted threats. These plant compounds are broad spectrum, affecting multiple pathways simultaneously in ways that are hard to adapt to quickly. A primitive shotgun approach versus our precision targeting, Dr. Zane mused. There's a certain elegance to it, despite its simplicity. Sam smiled, grateful for the acknowledgement. Sometimes the old ways persist because they work. On the 5th day of treatment, Thrin opened his eyes for the first time since Sam had arrived. The alien leader's gaze moved slowly around the room before settling on the faces gathered around his medical pod. What happened? He asked, his voice weak but clear. You contracted a pathogen during your visit to Epsilon Eridani. Supreme Counselor, Dr. Zane explained, you have been unconscious for nearly 2 weeks. Thrin's luminescent patterns pulsed with what Sam had come to recognize as surprise. How am I still alive? I remember the pain, the darkness closing in. You can thank Dr. Clark for that, Zane said, gesturing toward Sam. She developed a treatment using plants from Earth that proved effective against the pathogen. Thrin's gaze shifted to Sam, studying her with obvious curiosity. Earth plants, not our advanced medicines. Sam stepped forward, feeling somewhat self-conscious under the alien leader's scrutiny. It was a collaborative effort. Supreme Counselor, your physician's work was essential to understanding the nature of the infection. My contribution was simply a different approach. Modesty, Thrin noted, his voice growing stronger, admirable but unnecessary. Dr. Zane, tell me the truth of what occurred. Dr. Zane hesitated, then inclined his head respectfully. Dr. Clark is being modest indeed. When all our advanced treatments failed, she succeeded using methods we had dismissed as primitive. She applied the gel from an earth plant called aloe vera directly to your wounds, along with other plant extracts. The results were remarkable. A sound that might have been laughter emerged from Thrin. So primitive earth medicine succeeded where the finest medical technology in the Alliance failed. There is a lesson in this, I think. Indeed, Supreme Counselor, Dr. Zane agreed, one we would do well to remember. As Thrin continued to recover, news of the unusual treatment spread throughout the medical center and beyond. Sam found herself the object of intense curiosity among the alien medical community. Many who had previously dismissed her as a primitive curiosity now sought her out, eager to learn about Earth's alternative medical traditions. It's ironic, Sam remarked to Dr. Zane as they prepared for a presentation to the medical council. On Earth, aloe vera is considered alternative medicine. Here, among the most advanced medical practitioners in the galaxy, it's revolutionary. Perspective is everything, Zane replied. What seems primitive from one viewpoint may be innovative from another. Your approach reminded us of a truth we had forgotten in our pursuit of technological advancement. What truth is that? That nature often finds solutions that technology cannot replicate. That simplicity sometimes succeeds where complexity fails. Sam nodded thoughtfully. On Earth, we have a saying, sometimes the best technology is no technology at all. A wise perspective, Zane acknowledged, one we would do well to incorporate into our practices. In the days that followed, Sam worked with the Centaurian medical team to develop a formal protocol incorporating both Earth plant treatments and advanced alien technology. The combination proved even more effective than either approach alone, accelerating Thrin's recovery beyond all expectations. 2 weeks after the first application of aloe vera gel to his wounds, Thrin was well enough to leave the medical center. Before his departure, he requested a private audience with Sam. Dr. Clark, he began when they were alone in his recovery chamber, I understand you will be returning to Earth soon. Yes, Supreme Counselor, Sam confirmed. My mission here was always temporary, though I've learned more than I ever expected to. As have we, Thrin said, his luminescent patterns pulsing with what Sam had come to recognize as amusement. You have rendered a great service to me personally and to the Alliance as a whole. Your actions have not only saved my life, but have opened our eyes to possibilities we had overlooked in our, I believe the human expression is high-mindedness. Sam smiled. Something like that. Before you depart, I would ask 2 things of you. Thrin continued. First, would you be willing to establish an ongoing exchange program between Earth's medical practitioners and our own? I believe there is much we could learn from each other. I would be honored to help organize such a program, Sam replied, genuinely pleased by the suggestion. And the second thing? Thrin gestured to a small container on a nearby table. Would you show me how to care for this plant? I find I have developed a certain appreciation for Earth's aloe vera. Sam laughed, a warm, genuine sound that echoed in the metallic chamber. Of course, Supreme Counselor, though I should warn you, even on Earth, people sometimes struggle to keep them alive. Then it shall be a fitting reminder of the lesson you have taught us, Thrin said, his tone serious despite the light subject, that life, in all its forms, often requires a gentle touch rather than an advanced intervention. On her final day on Proxima Centauri B, Sam found herself in her makeshift laboratory, carefully packing the remaining Earth plant specimens for the journey home. Dr. Zane had arranged for a special stasis unit to ensure they survived the long voyage. Leaving some of your miraculous plants behind? Dr. Selka asked, entering the lab with uncharacteristic hesitation. Sam looked up, surprised by the visit. Her relationship with Selka had remained professional but distant throughout her stay. Just the samples that have already been used for research. I've prepared detailed care instructions for the xenobotany department. Selka nodded, then seemed to struggle with what to say next. I owe you an apology. Dr. Clark, I was less than welcoming when you arrived. You had no reason to believe I could help, Sam said, waving away the apology. I probably would have been skeptical too if our positions had been reversed. Perhaps. But my skepticism was based on prejudice, not reason. I assumed that because your methods were simpler, they must be inferior. Selka's forearms moved in a gesture that Sam had learned indicated embarrassment. I was wrong. We all have our blind spots, Sam said with a smile. Even the most advanced species in the galaxy. Indeed, Selka hesitated again, then extended one of her upper arms, offering a small, intricately designed container. A parting gift. It contains seeds from Centaurian healing plants. They may not grow in Earth's environment, but they might be useful for your research. Sam accepted the gift with genuine gratitude. Thank you, Dr. Selka. This means a lot to me. It is I who should thank you, Selka replied. You have reminded us that advancement sometimes means looking backward as well as forward. She paused, then added, Dr. Zane asked me to inform you that the transport to Earth has been upgraded. You will be traveling on a diplomatic vessel rather than a standard transport. That's not necessary, Sam protested. I don't need special treatment. It is not special treatment, Selka corrected. It is appropriate recognition of your status as a diplomatic and scientific envoy. Supreme Counselor Thrin was most insistent. Before Sam could respond, a soft chime indicated another visitor. Dr. Zane entered, carrying what appeared to be an official document. Dr. Clark, he greeted her warmly. I'm glad I caught you before your departure. I have something for you. He handed her the document, which Sam recognized as bearing the official seal of the Centaurian Medical Council. What's this? She asked, examining the unfamiliar script. A formal invitation for you to return to Proxima Centauri B as head of a new department within our medical center, Integrative Xenomedicine. The Council voted unanimously to establish this department following your successful treatment of Supreme Counselor Thrin. Sam stared at him in disbelief. You want me to lead a department here, but your technology is so much more advanced than anything we have on Earth. Technology is only as valuable as the minds that wield it, Zane replied. You have demonstrated a perspective that we sorely need, one that recognizes the value in simplicity as well as complexity, in nature as well as in technology. I don't know what to say, Sam admitted, genuinely overwhelmed by the offer. Say nothing now, Zane advised. Return to Earth, complete your mission there, and consider our proposal. Whatever you decide, you have made a lasting impact on our medical philosophy. As her transport prepared for departure later that day, Sam stood at the viewport, looking out at the gleaming spires of the Centaurian capital city. When she had arrived just weeks ago, she had felt like an imposter among these advanced beings, a primitive human pretending to have something to offer a civilization centuries ahead of her own. Now, as she clutched the invitation from the medical council, she felt something different, not pride, exactly, but a deep satisfaction in having bridged a gap between worlds. She had come seeking knowledge and had found it, but she had also shared knowledge of her own, proving that even the simplest remedies sometimes offered solutions that the most advanced technology could not. As the transport lifted off, Sam caught a final glimpse of the Interplanetary Medical Center, its crystalline towers gleaming in the light of Proxima Centauri. Within those towers, an alien leader was tending to an Earth plant, while alien doctors were studying the healing properties of aloe vera gel. Sometimes, Sam reflected, the most profound connections between different worlds came from the simplest things, like a human rubbing an earth leaf on an alien wound. "Prepare for interstellar jump," the transport's automated system announced. "Destination, Sol system, planet Earth." Sam settled back in her seat, her mind already racing with plans for the future, a future where Earth medicine and alien technology would work in harmony, each learning from the other, a future made possible by a simple green plant and the courage to try a different approach when all else had failed. As the stars outside the viewport blurred into streaks of light, Sam closed her eyes and smiled. She couldn't wait to tell her colleagues back on Earth about how alien doctors had given up, until a human rubbed an earth leaf on the wound. In that simple action, worlds had been connected, lives had been saved, and a new understanding had begun, one that would benefit both civilizations for generations to come. And it had all started with a leaf.